44th question from A level 2016 under humidity, right? So let's see what this question is all about. Absolute humidities of air inside three closed rooms A, B, and C of volume VA, VB, and VC at atmospheric pressure are SA, SB, and SC. Right. So they have given us S is actually the absolute humidity inside each chamber or each room. Uh, the dew point of air in room A is T naught. So dew point of this room is T naught. When the doors are opened as shown in figure B and the air in three rooms are allowed to mix, the common dew point of three rooms will remain at T naught if, right, now they are allowing the air to mix. And still now, once the air is allowed to mix, the dew point of the mixed air is T naught. So what is the meaning of that? If the dew point is same, can someone tell me what does it mean? What does it mean? If the dew point is same, for example, now if you take dew point is same means what can we say then? What can we say now? Say this now people relative humidity. We can say absolute humidity of unsaturated vapor or absolute humidity at room temperature, that is equal to, we know, absolute humidity of saturated vapor at dew point. Saturated vapor at dew point. Okay. Now, I hope you guys can understand this. Huh? Now, the equation for RH is this. RH has two equations. One is absolute humidity of unsaturated vapor at room temperature. At room temperature over absolute humidity of saturated vapor at room temperature. That is one equation for RH into 100. Yeah, that's nothing. And the other equation we can write for RH is absolute humidity of saturated vapor at dew point divided by absolute humidity of saturated vapor at room temperature. Right. Now, if the dew point is same for room A when it was closed and the mixed air, the absolute humidity of saturated vapor at dew point is same. That means absolute humidity of unsaturated vapor is also same. Hope you guys understood that. As long as the dew point doesn't change, this value does not change. Now, absolute humidity of saturated vapor, it depends only on temperature. Okay. So if the dew point is T naught for this region and T naught for this whole region, that means this is constant for this mixed air and this air. If that is constant, that means the absolute humidity of this vapor, unsaturated vapor, and the absolute humidity of this unsaturated vapor is same. So that's what you have to understand. That's the first thing you have to start with. Now, if dew points are same, I'll write the conclusion like this. If dew points are same, you can say absolute humidity of room A before opening should be equal to absolute humidity of uh, combined rooms. If not absolute humidity, okay, combined, no, absolute humidity of this part. I'll say mixed air after rooms are open. They should be same. So when they give you two air samples, remember, in other words, if they give you two air samples, if the dew point for those two air samples are same, the absolute humidities of those air samples will be same. Okay, right. Now, what is the absolute humidity of room A before opening? They have given that it is SA. All right, fine. And what is the absolute humidity of the rooms or the mixed air? How do you find the absolute humidity of mixed air? Now, we have what is absolute humidity? The common equation for absolute humidity, that is actually mass over volume. Total mass of water vapor divided by total volume. Now, I'll take the mass of water vapor inside this as MA, mass of water vapor inside this as MB, mass of water vapor inside this as MC, right? So now tell me, in the mixed air, what is the total mass of water vapor? That will be MA plus MB plus MC. MA plus MB plus MC. And on the other hand, volume. What about the volume now? We are opening all the rooms, so the common volume is going to be VA plus VB plus VC. That is going to be the common volume. Okay, right. And moving on, what can we say? Moving on. Yeah. So when you move on, SA. First of all, we will try to find an equation for the masses. So if I apply this equation for room A before opening, okay, before opening, if I apply this equation for room A, what is going to be the equation? Room A, for room A, the equation is SA, absolute humidity is equal to mass of water vapor inside room A divided by volume. Therefore, mass of water vapor in room A is SAVA. Similarly, MB is SBVB. And similarly, MC is SCVC. All right. So these are the equation for the masses. Okay, fine. Then let's try the equation and finish this off. Now, absolute humidity of mixed air after the rooms are open, that is going to be mass of A plus mass of water vapor in B plus mass of water vapor in C divided by the total volume VA plus VB plus VC. Right, and that is equal to VASA plus VBSB plus VCSC. Yeah, are the answers like that? Okay, VCSC divided by VA plus VB plus VC. Okay, now do we have an answer like that? Do we have an answer like this for SA? We don't, right? It's a little different here. So I think we might have to cross multiply. Then if I cross multiply, I'll be getting SA. Then here VA plus VB plus VC. And that is equal to VASA. Sorry, VASA plus VBSB plus VCSC. And on the left side, what should you do? You should expand the bracket. VASA, we'll write the same way. VASA plus, right, I will write it like this. The rest I will write like this, see if you can understand. SA will write it as VB plus VC. Because I see VB plus VC down together. So SA into VB plus VC equal to on the other side, VASA plus VBSB plus VCSC. Right, you have the answer now, no? What will happen? VASA and VASA, they are cancelled out, right? Then the final answer is SA equals VBSB plus VCSC divided by VB plus VC. This is the final answer, and definitely the answer is first one. Okay, so the basic idea is now there's no point of by hearting the answers. You have whenever you do a past paper question, you have to you should have gained something new from that past paper book. So one thing we gained here is when there are two air samples which has the same dew point, the air sample must have the same absolute humidity. That is the idea behind this entire question. The rest is maths. We just substitute the values and get the answer. Right. Next question is from 2014-44. A certain volume of air is isolated from the atmosphere at 30 degrees Celsius. Right. There's a certain volume of air is isolated at 30 degrees Celsius. Okay. It's first heated up to 80 degrees Celsius. Then we are heating it up to 80 degrees Celsius. We are heating it up to 80 degrees Celsius. Okay. Right. Let's say, right. Okay. And then cool down to 15 degrees Celsius at uniform rates. So the heating up and cooling down, they are happening at uniform rates. Now I'm going to break this part into two. From 30, the system is heated to 80. From 80, the system is cooled down to 15. But remember, during cooling down, continue reading. Both heating and cooling are done at constant pressure. Okay. Dew point of this isolated air is 25%. Therefore, when you cool down from 18 to 15 degrees Celsius, you are passing the dew point as well. Don't forget that. Passing the dew point as well. Right. So let's start. I'll take the time here because we have to plot the graph for absolute humidity and relative humidity with time. I think if you do this question, it will give you a very good idea about absolute humidity and relative humidity, how they vary with temperature. Okay. So let's take this time as t equal to 0, this time as t equal to t1, this time as t equal to t2, and this is t equal to t3. Right. Now, if you consider the air, now this air is unsaturated. This air is unsaturated. This air is also unsaturated. And this is the point where the air becomes saturated. That is when time is equal to T2. And after that, air will remain saturated. After that, air will remain saturated. Okay. So I'm using blue color to point out whether the air is saturated or not. How do I know that? As long as the temperature of the system is above dew point, it will be unsaturated. When the temperature is equal or below dew point, it is saturated. In which system can we expect dew? In which system can we expect dew? 1, 2, 3, 4. In which system can we expect dew? We can expect dew only in this one. So in all the others, there will be no dew, because the condition for dew formation is the temperature should be less than dew point. Even the temperature is equal to dew point, we can't expect dew to be formed. Here, dew will be formed. Okay, that means during this procedure, during this time interval, dew is being deposited. Dew is being deposited. But here, there is no dew. Remember, this is a closed chamber. This is a closed chamber. Okay, right. Now, what will happen when you increase the temperature? Talking about absolute humidity, if I say absolute humidity here, what can you say about absolute humidity until this point, people? Until this point, what will happen to absolute humidity of this air sample? Absolute humidity will remain constant. Why? No dew, no dew formed. So who is constant? No dew formed. So M is constant. Mass of water vapor constant. Mass of water vapor constant. This is a closed chamber. And the volume of the system, room, doesn't change. A certain volume of air, a certain volume. So volume is constant. Therefore, we know AH is equal to mass over volume. If both mass and volume are constant, then AH also has to be constant until time t2. All right. And after that, what will happen here? AH will start reducing. Why? Because we know AH is equal to mass over volume. As dew is forming, mass of water vapor is going to reduce in air. Volume is constant, therefore AH also has to reduce, right? So that is the decision about that's the decision we can take about AH. And then let's talk about RH. What can we say about RH? Now RH, we know RH is equal to absolute humidity divided by absolute humidity of saturated vapor into 100. Now I'm going to talk about this until this point, until from time equal to 0 to time equal to T2, right? What will happen to relative, sorry, I'm talking about relative humidity. Relative humidity. What will happen to relative humidity? Absolute humidity from T is equal to 0, T equal to T2, it's constant. Why? No dew is forming, so mass of water vapor in air doesn't change, volume is constant, therefore absolute humidity is not changing. But absolute humidity of saturated vapor is going to increase until this point. Okay, sorry. I think I should first start with this part. Okay, wait. Right. I should have started from here, no? Because there are two cases where temperature is increased and then temperature is decreased. We have to be careful. No? As long as temperature is greater than dew point, no dew will be formed whether temperature is increased or decreased. But RH, we have to be careful until T1. Until T1, guys, we have to separate that and see. No? This part separately, from T1 to T2 separately. We have to consider RH separately. Right. So until T to T1, what can we say about RH? Until time equal to 0 to time equal to T1. Sorry. So RH is equal to, absolute humidity over absolute humidity of saturated vapor into 100. Like I said earlier, absolute humidity is constant because no dew is formed. But absolute humidity of saturated vapor, guys, for this time period, it is going to increase. So RH is going to reduce. Why is it happening? We have learned when you increase the temperature of an air sample, the ability of that air sample to contain more water vapor, the ability of it to contain water vapor increases. Therefore, as the temperature increases, absolute humidity when it is saturated will increase. So RH has to reduce. But on the other hand, from T equal to T1 to T equal to T2, we are reducing the temperature. So for that part, when you reduce the temperature, absolute humidity of saturated vapor is going to reduce when you reduce the temperature. So when that reduces, what's going to happen to RH is going to increase. RH is going to increase. And how about this portion now? The next portion. That is when time equal to T2 to time equal to T3. What can you say about RH, guys? What is the value of RH there? What is the value of RH? What is the value of RH for this part? RH is going to be equal to 100. Good. RH is going to remain 100. Why? dew point is less than, sorry, the temperature of the chamber is less than dew point, 1/6 less than dew point, it is saturated. As long as the air is saturated, RH is 100. Okay, right, that's it. We have done the analysis. Now we have to put this into a graph. Now it's taking some extra time because I'm explaining it word by word, but when you do this at the exam, you will be doing it in your mind. You don't have to waste much time. Right, now there are few graphs. Without checking the answers, let's try to draw it from the scratch and finish it off, right? And then let's compare the answers they have given. Right, so let's start. What if we draw two graphs? What if we draw two graphs and then let's try to combine them very quickly? Okay, one graph for RH and the other graph is for AH. If not, let's draw one for AH and then one for RH. The good thing is I have reference for times, T1, T2, T3. I'll start with AH maybe, right? I'll start with AH. If I plot the graph for AH with time, what are the reference times now? T1, T2, T1, equal constant rates. Okay, so T1, T2, T2, T3. T2, T3, there must be a small gap now because just 10 degrees reduced. So from T1 until T1 to T2 to 3, right? Fine. We have done all the analysis. It's just a matter of putting everything into a graph. That's it. Okay. This is T1, this is T2, this is T3, right? How about absolute humidity? Until T2, absolute humidity is constant. Until T2, absolute humidity is constant because there's no dew formed until T2. After that, it keeps reducing. Right? It keeps reducing. All the graphs are straight lines, so let's go with the graphs straight line, right? And if you plot the graph for relative humidity, what kind of graph can we expect relative humidity with time? Right. Again, T1, T2, T3, T1, T2, T3. Right. What about relative humidity now? It had a lot of different changes, na people. It had a lot of changes, but very careful. You have to be very careful. It's 100 after T2. It's 100 after T2. So I will draw the 100 first. It's 100 after T2. And it was never 100 before that in any time. It will be 100 after T2 because it was never saturated before T2, right? Right, fine. From T1 to T2, RH should increase, right? Then we can expect a graph like this. RH should increase. And from T equal to 0, T equal to naught to T equal to T1, RH should decrease. But you have to be careful. RH is not going to decrease from 100. It will decrease from a value less than 100, like this. Why? At 30 degrees Celsius, RH is definitely less than 100. RH is going to be less than 100 at 30 degrees Celsius. It can't be greater than 100 because the air is unsaturated. The temperature is greater than dew point. So your graph should start like this. Right. So when you compare these two graphs, which one do you think is the most appropriate answer? Which one do you think is the most appropriate answer? Looks like the first one to me. Yeah. If you put all these things together, looks like the first one to me. Okay, first one. Now, in some schemes, I mean, it's the answer is all, but out of the answer now, they are the closest answers we can think of one and five. Now, second is definitely wrong. Third is also wrong. Third is wrong because you have to check. Third is wrong. Why is third wrong? Because RH is starting at a very high value, higher value. RH can't start at a higher value. So let's get rid of the most obvious answers which cannot be correct. Which cannot be correct. So this is not correct. This I think they are both starting at the same level. That is also not correct. RH graph, and this is some definitely wrong. So we have to what you have to decide between 1 and 5. Now you can't. Now, first of all, first one we have to check whether where the graph is starting. So let's go ahead with that. Where the graph is starting. So let's compare. Yeah, that's okay. Graph is starting above, graph is starting below 100. That's okay. And then the next point we have to focus on is this point now. When RH becomes 100, is AH exactly starting to reduce? When RH becomes 100, is AH starting to reduce? So first one looks fine to me. Because when RH becomes 100, AH is starting to reduce, and RH is not starting at 100. It is starting slightly below 100. That's quite understandable. That's okay. Right. So in some schemes, it's given as 1. We'll have to check the original scheme. And in this one, why is fifth wrong now? Why is fifth wrong? Because now I'll draw a line from RF becoming 100. This is a perfectly a vertical line. And you can see the problem there. Shapes are correct, but the point where is becoming 100 and AH is starting to reduce are not at the same time. That's why fifth one is incorrect. So the best option out of the 5 we have is first one. Next question is from 2008 and 44th one. Again, now we have skipped a few years because this is a graph question, just like the question we did a few moments back. As shown in the figure, the temperature of air inside a closed room is varied with time according to curve A. This is temperature. Curve A is for temperature. Okay. Its relative humidity RH is found to vary with time according to curve B. Right. This is for relative humidity. And if you see, if this point, this is 100. So this part, for this part, relative humidity remains at 100. I think we have to be mindful about that. Two graphs, two axes, everything. So don't get confused, careful. And this is temperature then, temperature. This should be temperature. 15 and 30 should be temperatures. Yeah, they have given. The corresponding variation of the absolute humidity of air inside the room with time T. T should be T, is correctly represented by. Now there are 3 time intervals we have to focus on. One is 0 to T1, T1 to T2, T2 to T. Okay. Before anything, absolute humidity will remain constant. First point, absolute humidity will remain constant when your temperature is equal or greater than dew point. Careful, huh? When the temperature is equal or greater than dew point. If the temperature is equal to dew point also, AH will not change. Why? Because no dew. As long as there is no dew inside now this is a closed room. I'm talking about a closed room. So air is trapped inside a closed room. The only way to reduce absolute humidity of air inside a closed room is forming dew. So as long as the temperature is greater or equal to dew point, then in a closed room with fixed volume, you can't expect AH to reduce. And next point, AH reduces when theta is below dew point. Theta is below dew point, right? That is the only time then AH will reduce. Fine. Now let's analyze the graph. Now you can see from 0 to T1, RH is increasing from 20 to 100. RH is increasing from 20 to 100. When time is T1, RH is becoming 100. Okay. Can someone tell me what is the dew point of this system? What is the dew point of this system? Looking at the graph, can you tell me what is the dew point of the system? Hurry up. RH is increasing. Now this graph is for RH. Now if it is confusing, let's try to change the colors of the graph. Now for RH, I'm going to use a red color graph. Okay. Maybe that's why you're a bit confused, but at the exam, you won't have this privilege. Since I'm explaining, I will use this. Right. So this red color graph is for RH. All right. It goes like this. And then it is constant at 100, it doesn't change. And then it starts reducing. Like this. This is the graph for RH. All right. And the other graph is for temperature. So when RH becomes 100, at that time, the temperature will be the dew point. So this is the dew point. This is the dew point here, this temperature. So some of you had answered 30, some of you had answered 15. Neither is the answer. That answer is between answer between 15 and 30. I think we can say around 20, no? 20, 25, 30, 20 or 18, 19, something like that. If you go with the scale, that would be the dew point. Okay. So when time is equal to T1, uh, temperature is equal to the dew point. Hope you can understand that, right? So let's analyze quickly. When time is equal to 0 to time is equal to T1, room temperature is greater than dew point. So what can you say about absolute humidity, guys? Absolute humidity should be constant. After that only you have to be very careful. Yeah, after that RH is remaining at 100. AI is saturated. But look at the temperature after that. When time is equal to T1 to time is equal to T2, what is the temperature? Temperature is equal to dew point. Temperature is equal to dew point, right? When the temperature is equal to dew point, what will happen to AH? It will not change. It will remain constant. Why? When the temperature is equal to dew point, dew doesn't form, the air remains saturated. Yeah, condition. If you want AH to reduce, there's only one condition. That is temperature should have dropped below dew point. That doesn't happen. And what is happening when time is equal to T2 and after that? And after that, I'll say time equal to T3, something like that. Okay. What is it? Temperature again is greater than dew point. And you can see RH is reducing because it's unsaturated now. Unsaturated, this point, saturated, and here unsaturated again. So when it is unsaturated, there's no argument. The AH will not change. And even if it is saturated, since the temperature is not below dew point, dew is not going to form. So here also AH is constant. What is the answer? What is going to be the answer for this question? What is the answer for this question, guys? Answer is going to be the fourth one. Answer is going to be the fourth one. Because temperature never went below dew point. Simple as that. As long as the temperature doesn't go below dew point, you can't expect AH of a closed room to change. The next graph under humidity is from 2056. Let's check it out. The curve shows the variation of absolute humidity of an isolated volume of atmosphere, isolated volume of atmosphere. So all you have to think is an air sample trapped inside a chamber or a room or a box, something like that, right? With temperature theta, the relative humidity of air volume corresponding to the point. Okay, to each point. Now they have given the absolute humidity. This is H is actually absolute humidity. They have given the absolute humidity graph, and then they are asking, about that after that. Now absolute humidity is constant until this temperature, and after that absolute humidity is starting to reduce. So definitely this temperature has to be the dew point, because here the temperature is less than dew point, and here the temperature is greater than dew point. When the temperature is less than dew point and when the temperature is reducing, we know dew is going to be depositing. Dew will be depositing. Therefore, AH is reducing. Here, no dew. So, AH constant. That is what's happening on the right side. Right. Constant. Right. And talking about RH, let's try to plot the RH graph for this. The exact same situation. We have discussed that also. You think about RH graph now, RH with temperature. It will be a constant value and then it will start reducing like this. No? This is the graph for RH. So the corresponding points for RH will be down D. Exactly D. I can think of D here and C here. And for D and C, RH will be 100. No? For D and C, RH will be 100 because it is saturated. And then B is somewhere here and A is somewhere here. So these are the points in the RH graph. These are the corresponding points in the RH graph. Right, let's move on. Right, the relative humidity of air volume corresponding to point A can be 0, can be 100. Wrong. Point A is not definitely 100. It is less than 100. Point B can be 100. That is also wrong. Point A and C can be same. No, wrong. Point C can be less than 100. That is wrong because it has to be 100. It has to be 100 because that is the point where the air is becoming saturated. Point D can never be less than 100. No, it can't be less than 100 because the temperature is less than dew point. This is an isolated air sample. So when the temperature is less than dew point, the the air is saturated. Therefore, RH has to be 100. So the answer is fifth for this question. Now the next graph question about humidity or relative humidity or absolute humidity. It is from 1992. Fine. So we are discussing all the graph related questions together. They have already given us a relative humidity versus time graph. The graph shown represents the variation of relative humidity of a closed room with time t of the day due to the change in temperature. Now, closed room once again. So most of the times they will give you questions on inside a closed chamber, closed room, closed box, something like that. Which of the following graphs correctly represent the variation of temperature in the room with the time? Now, you have to see which graphs are possible, which graphs are possible. All right, which graphs are possible and which graphs are not. Right now, first and foremost, there are different approaches to this question. There are different approaches to this question. So let's start. Now, first thing, now this can't be 100. This definitely can't be 100. This might be 100, might not be 100. We can't say that, right? This might be 100, might not be 100. So there are two options. I will draw this graph once again. So I will consider two graphs. I'll just quickly draw the graph and let's see what we can do about this. Right, time here RH, right, and I mean, I'm not going to change the shape, but I'm going to consider it in two different ways. One is, let's quickly draw the shape, right, reducing and then increasing, then flat and then reducing again. Let's say this is 100. This is 100, right? And in the other graph, let's say that is not 100, less than 100. Right? Let's think that can do. So I think I have to extend this further up. So you have to analyze all the options. Hope you can remember we did a question under friction like this. You can, if they give a common graph, then you can think of possibilities. So let's say this is 100%. Okay, so this time it is less than 100. Right, let's think this way. If you have a graph like this, if it is 100, I will draw the possible temperature variations. See if you can agree with me. Okay, let's start. Possible temperature variations. Now, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 portions in the graph. 5 portions in the graph, right? So we have to use those 5 portions as our reference to get the answer. These 5 portions are going to be our reference, right? So I will use those 5 portions as my reference quickly, very quickly, and then it will be easy for me to get an answer, right? One more, come on, right? Okay. Now temperature variation. Let's start. First of all, temperature, the RH value is constant. If RH is constant, definitely temperature should have been constant. And then when RH is reducing, if RH is reducing, definitely temperature should have increased. Temperature should increase until this. And then RH is decreasing. RH is decreasing, so temperature will also decrease. And then if RH is reaching 100, now you have to be a little careful here. If RH has reached 100, now this temperature is how much then? This is going to be dew point. Now people, there are two possibilities. One, the temperature could have remained at dew point. Temperature could have remained at dew point. If the temperature remains at dew point, RH will remain at 100, and after that, RH is reducing. So after that, temperature is definitely increasing. And there's another possibility, that is this. I will draw with the same color. That is this. This is also possible, people. Do you say? Tell me if you can agree with this part. Okay. Now I'll draw it in different color, right? This part is also possible. Why? Now this blue color part represents temperature being less than dew point. When the temperature is less than dew point, also RH is 100. And the straight line part says temperature is equal to 100. Sorry, temperature is equal to dew point. Sorry, equal to dew point. For that case also, RH has to be 100. So these two shapes are possible. These two shapes are possible. All right. And I think I need to draw another graph separately for this. It was really stupid. I mean, if RH is less than 100, it's still the same. Then temperature will remain constant. After that, temperature will increase. Then it will temperature will remain constant. It will increase. Then it will decrease, and then again constant. Then it will increase. There's no point there. But temperature won't drop in this one. Temperature won't drop in this one. It will be a temperature greater than dew point. But in this case, this temperature is not dew point, greater than dew point. Anyways, shape is same. So obvious answer. Obvious answers. This is definitely wrong. C is definitely wrong because we don't have a shape like that. C is definitely wrong. If C is wrong, this is wrong. Okay, fine. And then D. Is D possible, guys? Is D possible? D is not possible. Again, why? You have to be very mindful. This temperature should, the graph should start at a higher temperature than dew point. Now, here, look at this value. This temperature and this temperature are same. They have given them at the same temperature, which is incorrect. Because in the third portion, RH is high. In the first portion, RH is less. So how can these two temperatures be equal? It's impossible. Therefore, C and D are definitely wrong. Now, A and B are correct because the green color one and the blue color one, right? Now, this could have been dew point. And if this is the dew point, yeah, that is also still possible. If you have the graph like this, then your dew point must have been like this. So when the graph, then the temperature drops below dew point, still RH can be 100. Okay, so these two shapes are both are possible. Therefore, fifth one is the best choice. Right, the next question is from 1991, another graph. And in this question, they are expecting us to draw the graph of both relative humidity and absolute humidity. Let's see the question. Which of one of the following curves best represents the variation of the relative humidity with time and the variation of absolute humidity with time of air inside a closed empty refrigerator in Sri Lankan home, which is switched on for the first time? Okay, now when you take a refrigerator, it is going to be switched on. So initially, when time is equal to 0, you will have air at room temperature. When time is equal to 0, you will have air inside at room temperature. Temperature is going to be room temperature. And then, when the fridge is turned on, the air starts cooling down. Air starts cooling down. So the temperature will reduce, it will keep reducing. And at one point, I'll take that time as a T naught. What will happen? The temperature will reduce and the temperature will reach dew point. Temperature inside the fridge initially is room temperature because we closed air and then we trapped air, then only we closed. And after that, you keep reducing, and now the temperature will be less than dew point afterwards, after that point. Still air is there, temperature will be less than dew point. When the temperature is less than dew point, you can expect dew to be formed inside the fridge. Dew will be formed inside the fridge. All right. So we have done this in the previous examples as well. Here you can expect RH to be less than 100 because it is unsaturated air, unsaturated with water vapor, right? As you cool it down, when the temperature becomes dew point, it becomes saturated, and after that, air will remain saturated, right? So after that, once the air becomes saturated, RH is 100 and it will remain at 100. And talking about absolute humidity very quickly, absolute humidity, we know from here to here, it will remain constant. AH is constant. Why is AH constant? Because there is no dew. Because no dew. When there is no dew, mass of water vapor in a closed system, it's not going to change. Therefore, there is no dew. It's a closed system, right? And here, absolute humidity, it's going to reduce with time because dew is formed. Dew formed, and the mass of water vapor in the system is reducing. Right, fine. Now, the important thing is these two, AH starting to reduce and RH becoming 100, they both should happen at the same time. That's very important. Both should happen at the same time. So that is the, that is the idea of this question. Therefore, when you compare the answers, A is for RH, careful. A is for RH, see, RH is A. All right, and AH is B. AH is B. Therefore, RH should increase up to 100 and remains it should remain constant. If you plot the graph for RH, I'll quickly draw it with time. Your RH graph should increase and then remain constant. And when it becomes 100, time we have taken as T naught. So 100%, right? And AH, talking about AH with time, until T naught, AH will not change until T naught. And afterwards, AH will start reducing with time. When you compare those, I think the best answer will be the first one. The first one is going to be the best answer. The reason is RH becoming 100 and AH starting to reduce, both are happening at the same time. I think I should move this a little bit, right, fine. I think this is satisfying, yes. Both are happening at the same time. In other graphs, it doesn't happen that way. That's therefore, we can settle the first answer. The initial relative humidity of a closed room of volume V at room temperature theta naught is X percentage, right? Initial temperature is theta naught. So when the temperature is theta naught, relative humidity is given to us. Relative humidity is X percentage. Right. The temperature and the relative humidity of the room are then reduced to theta 1 and Y percentage. Fine. Then when you turn on an air conditioner, what happens? It does two things. Air conditioner does two things. One is it reduces the temperature. It's obvious now. When the temperature is high, anywhere you go, it will be difficult. It starts sweating. It starts sweating a lot, so you'll feel uncomfortable. That's number one problem. So you need to maintain the temperature at an easy level, right? And the other thing, even if you have reduced the temperature, when you exhale breath, the humidity of the air is going to increase. When the humidity of air is going to increase, again you will feel little uncomfortable because sweat doesn't evaporate anymore. Sweat doesn't evaporate, so you'll feel uncomfortable. When you say a closed room, air can't go out much. It's like trapped, and the same air is rotating. So we need to remove the water vapor from that, and by that we are reducing the relative humidity. That's what an AC machine does. So when they turn on the AC, the temperature is reduced to theta 1 and RH becomes Y percentage. All right, fine. Now the next statement is very, very important. The next statement I'll just underline. If the absolute humidities of air at corresponding dew points of theta naught and theta 1 are A naught and A1 respectively. Let's read it again. If the absolute humidities of air at corresponding dew points of theta naught and theta 1 are A naught and A1, that means what they are saying is when temperature is theta naught, the absolute humidity of saturated vapor, it is given as A naught. That is what they are saying. And here, when temperature is theta 1, the absolute humidity of saturated vapor is A1. Corresponding now, for theta naught, there will be a corresponding dew point, people. For this room, there will be a corresponding dew point. Now, this room is at 28 degrees Celsius, but the dew point for this room might be 24. At that dew point, the saturated absolute humidity is A naught. Okay, for theta 1 temperature, this room is at theta 1 temperature. RH has a certain value. This room is not saturated. So for this particular temperature, for this particular room, there will be a dew point now. At that dew point, the saturated atmospheric pressure is A1. So saturated absolute humidities are given to you, A naught and A1, because whenever you use RH equation, you need absolute humidity of saturated vapor. If not, you can't do the question. You need that. Indirectly, they have given that. Respectively, then the mass of water vapor that has been removed by the air conditioner is. How much mass is removed? Now, if you have seen an air-conditioned room, outside that there will be a gadget. From that, water droplets will be falling out. Those are the water droplets removed from the air inside the room. So we have to find the mass of water vapor, right? This is theta naught, isn't it? Theta naught, right? Fine. So let's say initial mass of water vapor. I'll take here mass of water vapor. Mass of water vapor. I'll take it as m naught, water vapor. Sorry, water vapor. We'll take it as m naught. And here, mass of water vapor, we'll take it as m1. I think the volume is given, no? Volume V. Volume is given. Volume is V. Same room. So volume is going to be. Now, what are we supposed to find out? Mass of water vapor that has been removed. So mass of water vapor removed. mass of water vapor removed is how much? That should be m naught minus m1. M naught is the initial mass of water vapor in the room minus m1 is the final mass of water vapor in the room, and you should understand m naught will be larger than m1 because they are saying water vapor is removed. So this, right? Then you need to find an equation for m naught and m1 separately. That's very easy. How do you do that? You can apply relative humidity equation. Now we all know the equation for relative humidity. Relative humidity is equal to absolute humidity of the particular room divided by absolute humidity of saturated vapor into 100. That is the equation. And so if I apply that equation for this room, x equals AH for this room is how much? M naught divided by V naught over the absolute humidity of saturated vapor is going to be A naught into 100. All right, fine. Now again, what is this A naught? If the absolute humidities of air at corresponding dew points of theta naught and theta 1 are A naught and A1. That means now at dew points, the air will be saturated, Nabiba. Absolute humidities at dew points means it is air. What they mean by that is when theta naught becomes dew point. When theta naught becomes dew point, this air will be saturated. At that time, what is the absolute humidity? That is what they are saying, right? Theta 1 corresponding dew points. At theta 1, when theta 1 becomes dew point, this air becomes saturated. At that time, what is the absolute humidity? That is what A1 is. So A naught and A1 are absolute humidities of saturated vapor. Then m naught, you have to get an equation for m naught. Then I think if you make m naught the subject, what will happen? You will get an equation like this. M naught is equal to, now A naught and V naught both are, now they will get multiplied in the denominator. This goes up. So A naught V naught in, okay, 100. A naught V naught, sorry. A naught V naught. A naught V naught goes up into x divided by 100. Okay. A naught and V naught will get multiplied and then it goes up and 100 comes down. This is m naught. And if you write the equation for this one, I don't have to really repeat it. I can write now the answer finally. What is it? Never mind, we'll write it equation. Okay. Y is equal to m1 over v1 divided by a1 into 100. A1 goes up, sorry, A1 and V1 get multiplied and go up, and 100 goes down. Therefore, M1 similar to this, A1 V1Y over 100. That's all, finished. Then you just substitute the values here. M naught is A naught V naught X over 100 minus M1 is A1 V1 Y over 100. Yeah, that's it. Then they have taken 100 as the common denominator and they have written it like this. So I will rewrite it X A naught V naught. No, X A naught V. Why have I put V naught in everything here? Gosh, no, sorry. The volume in everything is V. Sorry, yeah. Volume in everything is V. It's a constant volume. Extremely sorry about that. Right. So here also volume should be V. Because we didn't change the volume of the room. Same. Yeah, and then the other one, y a1v, and they have taken 100 as the common denominator. Therefore, the answer for this question should be first one. Answer for this question should be first one. Okay. Now, absolute humidity in this equation, you can find it dividing mass by volume. Dividing mass by volume, you can find it, but you can't find absolute humidity of saturated vapor. It is a fixed value for a given temperature. Okay, I think there must be a printing error, people here. There must be a printing error. Can someone check the original paper, please? There's a printing mistake here. This one should be A1. If you check the original paper, you will be able to find that out. Okay, so that is the answer. The next question is from 2012, 45, question number 45. Water is found to condense on the outer surface of a cooled glass bottle of soft drink when kept in the atmosphere. The total amount of water condensed before it reaches the atmosphere will not depend on. Right. Now, I think we discussed about these questions in the previous class about how when a person from a room at low temperature, or a person from a cooler environment enters a warmer environment, that person can observe dew forming on his or her spectacles. So this is similar to that, but little different. They are taking a soft drink bottle out of a refrigerator. Let's take that way. So there's a refrigerator, and they are taking a soft drink bottle out of it. Right. So let's see what's going to happen in that soft drink bottle. And you might have observed this in real life as well. You buy soft drink bottles, and then you take the soft drink bottle initially, yeah, it will be inside. And then when you take the soft drink bottle outside, after a while, you will see water formed on the soft drink bottle. So from where did that water appear? Right. The approach to this question goes like this. You have to consider the air just around the soft drink bottle, just around the soft drink bottle in contact with the soft drink bottle. Okay. Right after you took the soft drink bottle out, now I'll just assume some values. Let's say the soft drink bottle is at around 5 degrees Celsius. Right after you took it out of the refrigerator bottle. Let's assume some values and try to do this. Right. And temperature of the room is around 30 degrees Celsius, and on this is the room temperature, and let's say on that day the dew point is 25 degrees Celsius. That is the dew point, something like that. Okay, fine. Now what happens is when you bring the soft drink bottle out, the air which is warm air which is in contact with the soft drink bottle. So the part I'm highlighting is the warm air in contact with the soft drink bottle. What will happen to that? What will happen to that? Contact with soft drink bottle. It will cool down. No? It will cool down. A warmer object coming into contact with a cooler object. It will cool down. It will cool down and it will get saturated with water, and then water will start condensing. Only the air just around the soft drink bottle, not the entire room. Now, when there's a hotel, when you take a soft drink bottle, does the whole hotel gets cooled down? No, just the air volume around the soft drink bottle in contact with that. It's just like this, like a blanket of air. All right. So let's see what happens there. Let me write the energy transformation. Now talking about soft drink bottle, this is what happens. Soft drink bottle is going to get warmed up a little. Now people, soft drink bottle is going to get warmed up. Now talking about soft drink bottle, initially it will be at 5 degrees Celsius, and it can, let's say, it gets warmed up to dew point. It gets warmed up to dew point, and warm air around the soft drink bottle, warm air around the bottle. What happens to that? Now there you have to be a little careful. Warm air around the soft drink bottle. It will be initially at 30 degrees Celsius, okay? And then it will cool down to dew point. Now I'll not put 30 degrees Celsius. This also, I think it's better if I can go with a common equation, or common letter symbol. Let's say this is the initial temperature. I'll put it as theta naught. This 5 degrees Celsius is our theta naught. Just after it was taken out of the refrigerator, theta naught. And from theta naught, it goes to dew point. And here, from room temperature, air goes to dew point. Right? It will remain as air. And after it has reached dew point, then it will start condensing into water vapor. So then we will get that air, the mass of water vapor in that air, will take like that, will condense into water. Let's say dew. This is the transformation there. So for this portion, you have to use Q equal ms delta theta equation. And for this portion, you have to use Q equal mlv equation. Because there is a transformation in, what do you call that? Physical state. Here it is a gas. Here still it is a gas. And now here it has become a liquid. All right, fine. So let's write the equation, and from that we'll argue this. Let's say heat lost by water vapor. Heat lost by water vapor should be equal to heat gain by soft drink bottle. Heat gain by soft drink bottle. Fine, let's write the equations now. First of all, number one, heat lost by water vapor. You have to write these two things. So first one is mass of water vapor, mass of water vapor into specific heat capacity of water vapor into temperature difference. What should I put temperature difference? Room temperature minus dew point. Plus, what is the next part? Plus this part, that is mass of water vapor into latent heat of vaporization, because it is condensing. For that you have to write this equation. And the heat gained by soft drink bottle, what is the equation? Mass of bottle, I'll put MD, mass of bottle, specific heat capacity of soft drink bottle material, change in temperature, well, that should be dew point minus theta naught. Okay, initial temperature is theta naught, and it will get heated up to dew point. So if air is cooling down, bottle should have got heated up. Someone should have absorbed the heat from the air. So this is it. Now they are asking the total amount of water condensed. What is that? The total amount of water condensed. So what is that in this equation? Wait, let me underline that in red color. The total amount of water condensed. What is that in this equation? That is our mass of water vapor. This mass of water vapor. Okay, right. Now check one by one, which will not depend on. Okay. Initial temperature of cooled bottle of soft drink. Is it there? Is it there? Yeah, that is theta naught. So I'll mark number one. I mean the letters there. So this represents first answer, number one. Right. Thermal capacity of bottle of soft drink. Yes, this one. Specific heat capacity or thermal capacity. Doesn't matter. If I multiply these two, it will give us this thermal capacity in the people. Rate of increase of temperature of the bottle of soft drink. Yeah, that will see dew point of the atmosphere. Dew point of the atmosphere. That's definitely correct here. Dew point is there. This is number 4. Number 5 is thermal conductivity of glass. Now rate of increase of temperature of soft bottle. Now that one, if that rate is high, within a given time, a lot of water can condense. No, within a given time. If the rate of increase of temperature of soft bottle drink is high, within a given time, the amount of water ever condensed can be high. So that is the argument for that. But definitely fifth is wrong, no people. Fifth should be the answer, because thermal conductivity of glass doesn't have anything to do with this. Because thermal conductivity of glass should be considered if heat is going through the glass. If heat is going through the glass. No. If heat is going through the glass. Because here, thermal conductivity means it's like air is in contact with the outer surface of the glass. That's it. Air is in contact with outer surface of the glass. Right? Outer surface of the glass. So there is no issue with thermal conductivity cannot affect that. Now, if you want to talk about thermal conductivity, you have to consider, you should consider a situation where heat is traveling through the cross section of the glass. It doesn't happen that way, no, people. In case if heat is traveling from inside to outside or outside to inside, a case like that, then thermal conductivity is okay. Okay, and some questions, right? Warm, thermal capacity of bottle and glass. No, thermal conductivity and thermal capacity are same. Not same. Thermal conductivity. This is thermal conductivity, careful, not capacity. Thermal conductivity. Want initial temperature of bottle? There's some questions. Want initial temperature bottle? No. It won't depend on, initial bottle won't depend on conductivity. If you keep it inside the refrigerator, whether it's a metal bottle or a glass bottle, if it's a alloy bottle or glass bottle, after some time, both will have the same temperature, because it will eventually reach the same temperature of the room. Whether it's a insulator or a conductor, it will reach the temperature of the refrigerator, both. Now, when you put a glass bottle, and so what do you say? The alloy bottle is going to have lower temperature than this? No. If the refrigerator's temperature is 5 degrees Celsius, whether you put a ever silver bottle or a glass bottle, if it is kept inside sufficient time, both will have the same temperature of the fridge. So that, no, it won't. Now, I know this rate of increase of temperature is not directly there in the equation, but my argument is at a given time, if the temperature can increase quickly, the amount of water vapor condense, more water vapor can condense, right? Now, where can I bring time into this equation? Before it reaches the atmosphere, before it reaches the atmosphere. So they are talking about a time limit there. No? They're talking about a time interval there. So if the rate of increase of temperature is high, if the rate is high at a given time, more water vapor can condense, and there is no logical way to explain how thermal conductivity is going to impact this. Now, if you want me to bring thermal capacity into the equation, I can, instead of this part, MBCB, you can, MBSP, you can say thermal capacity of the bottle, theta dew point minus theta naught. You can write like this also, right? That's how second one is correct. I have written mass and specific heat capacity. Two empty boxes of volumes 0.1 meter cube and 0.3 meter cube filled with air at room temperature 30 degrees Celsius are sealed and stored in a refrigerator. A packet of moisture absorbing silica gel has been inserted into the 0.3 meter cube box just before sealing. Later, it was found that the relative humidity of air inside the small box reached 100% at 15 degrees Celsius, and relative humidity of air inside the large box reached the 100% at 5 degrees Celsius. If the absolute humidities of air at the dew points of 5 degrees Celsius and 15 degrees Celsius are 6.8 gram per meter cube and 12.7 gram per meter cube. Right, what are these things? Absolute humidity of air at the dew points 5%, 5 degrees Celsius and 15 degrees Celsius. This is the exact thing they had given in the previous question we did, that AC question, A naught A1, that is this. Okay, so 6.8 and 12.7. The amount of water vapor absorbed by the gel is, right? So a lot of things are happening here. A lot of things are happening. Let's quickly go for a diagram. Right. First, there is a box with 0.3 meter cube volume, and the other box is 0.1 meter cube. Right. So I will consider them like this so that I can just continuously check what's happening inside them. And they are first of all feeling air inside, air. So it's definitely unsaturated air, and here also air is filled. Same air at 30 air at room temperature 30 degrees Celsius. So the temperature is 30 initially, temperature is here also 30, right? 30 degrees Celsius initially. But very important, people, mass of water vapor here, mass of water vapor will be, if I take it as 3m, I'll take it as 3m naught. Here the mass of water vapor will be m naught, because the volume here is 0.1 meter cube and here the volume is 0.3 meter cube. So when you have more air, we will have more water vapor. The volume of air is triple, therefore the mass of water will be triple here. That is very important. Huh? So initially mass of water, because whenever they ask about water vapor absorbed by gel means water vapor removed, you have to start with the initial mass of water vapor. If not, you can't do a question. All right, fine. And then what are they doing? A packet of moisture absorbing silica gel has been inserted into 0.3 meter cube. This, okay, fine. Now they have added a silica gel like this. Packet of silica gel is there. So it can absorb some water vapor. Then they are cooling them down, both. So when they cool them down, right, okay, cool them down. Here also it's cooling down. The relative humidity becomes 100 inside the small box at 15 degrees Celsius. So here, the relative humidity is becoming 100 at when the temperature is 15 degrees Celsius. What is the meaning of that, guys? Relative humidity is becoming 100 means that is when it just got saturated. Just gets saturated. Just gets saturated. Right, what is the meaning of that one? Yeah, relative humidity is 100. It has just got saturated. It has just got saturated and the temperature is 15 degrees Celsius now. 15 degrees Celsius. And at that time, guys, what will be the absolute humidity of that? What will be the absolute humidity here? At that time, now it is saturated. So absolute humidity inside this now, I'll just say absolute humidity at this will be, they have given the number at 12.7. Is it 12.7? Wait, carefully read it. From the relative humidity, small box becomes 100. Relative humidity of small box becomes 100 at 15 degrees Celsius. So for 5 it is 6.8, for 15 it is 12.7. So AH has to be 12.7 gram per meter cube. Why did I use this value? It has become saturated. The saturated absolute humidity of 15 degrees at 15 degrees Celsius is 12.7. So this will be that absolute humidity. What will be the mass of water vapor inside this? Mass of water vapor. What will be the mass of water vapor? How much is that? What will be the mass of water vapor inside this? It will remain at m naught. It will remain at m naught. So we have to find m naught. That's why we are struggling this much. It will remain at m naught because water did not condense yet. Okay, but after this, if you cool down further, then water will condense. But until now, water has not condensed because it just becomes 100 degrees, 100 percentage. Sorry, RH becomes 100 percentage, right? So for this case, if you apply absolute humidity equation, absolute humidity is equal to mass over volume. Absolute humidity of this system is 12.7 equal to mass is m naught, volume is 0.1. Therefore, m naught will be 1.27 gram per meter cube. Sorry, grams. Mass, no? M naught is 1.27 grams. So initially, there must have been 1.27 grams of water vapor here. Then what is 3m naught here, people? Then 3m naught is how much? 3m naught is 3 times 1.27. That is, I think, 3.81 grams. When you multiply 127 by 3, it is 381. Yeah, correct. So 3.81 grams of water vapor must have been here. But the issue is when they cool this larger box, its relative humidity is becoming 100 when the temperature is, now here RH is becoming 100 for this one, when the temperature is 5 degrees Celsius. Ah, right. So now at that time, what is going to be the absolute humidity? 5 degrees Celsius means now it has become saturated. Huh? Now this has become saturated because RH has become 100. Absolute humidity is 6.8. Now, definitely the mass of water vapor here, it's not 3m naught. Or it's not 3.81. It is going to be 3.81 minus simple m. I'll take it as simple m. What is m? That is what we are supposed to find out. Mass of water vapor absorbed by silica gel. Okay. 3m naught will not remain here because there is the silica gel which would have absorbed a little bit of water vapor. Therefore, some will be absorbed by this. All 3.81 won't be here. Here it was m naught because there was no one to absorb and dew did not form. But here it will not remain at 3m naught. M will be reduced, right? Fine. Then for this, you just apply the absolute humidity equation and then it will be over. Absolute humidity is equal to mass over volume. For mass, we have to put 3.81. Oh, wait. Before that, let's substitute the value for absolute humidity as well. What is it? 6.8. 6.8 is equal to 3.81 minus m. From where did 3.81 come? That is the 3m naught. We have found it. Divided by the volume is 0.3. 0.3. Therefore, if you multiply this up, 68 into 3. How much is 68 into 3? Is it 204? 2.04 equals to 3.81 minus m. So m goes this side, this comes this side. M is equal to 3.81 minus 2.04. So 3.81 is there in the answer. 2.04 is also there in the answer. You have to be careful. They are not the final answers. And when you subtract, finally you will end up in 1.77 grams. That is the mass of water vapor absorbed by the silica gel. It's a very interesting question, but you just have to be a bit careful. Carefully, you have to substitute the values and consider the equations and then get the answer. That's it. Volume V1 of air at 100% relative humidity. What is that 100% relative humidity? Saturated, correct? It is saturated. Is mixed with volume V2 of completely dry air. Completely dry air means we have to assume that there is no water whatsoever. at the same temperature and pressure so that the final volume becomes V1 plus V2. The relative humidity of the mixture is, right, 2007, 35. Two air samples are mixed together. First one is saturated with water vapor because they are saying relative humidity is 100. Relative humidity is 100. I'll just put a few points, dots like this to indicate that it is saturated. So a lot of water vapor is there. Okay, right, a lot of water vapor is there, and the volume is V1. Plus, there's another sample which is completely dry. There's no water vapor. That's the meaning of completely dry. No water vapor. Then when they are mixed, you will get a new system now. It will be V1 plus V2, the total volume. And if you have here the mass of water vapor in this mass of water vapor, if it is M, then here we will have M, mass of water vapor. Mass of water vapor here must be M. Right. So what's the plan? How do you do the question? The relative humidity of the mixture. We are supposed to find the relative humidity of the mixture. Now, if you want to find the relative humidity, you can't go with pressure, right? And you can't go with dew point equation. You definitely have to go with absolute humidity divided by absolute humidity of saturated vapor into 100. That is the only way you can approach this question. So RH is equal to, what is absolute humidity of this mixture? That is easy. Mass of water vapor will remain as M and the total volume is V1 plus V2 divided by absolute humidity of saturated vapor. Now, is there any saturated vapor you can see here? This one, right? This is a saturated air sample. And we have taken the mass of water vapor as M and the volume was V1. Therefore, absolute humidity of saturated vapor can be considered as M over V1 from this sample, because this is a sample of a saturated vapor. That's it. Then you substitute here. M divided by V1 and into 100. That's the equation, right? We are finding the relative humidity of the mixture. In the mixture, here there is M mass of water vapor. Here there is no water vapor. So when you mix them, still the total mass will be M. The volume is V1 plus V2. That's what I have written here. And for saturated vapor, I have considered only the initial sample, which was saturated here. Then mass will get cancelled off. Mass will get cancelled off. And V1 will go up. Therefore, final answer, RH will be equal to V1 divided by V1 plus V2 into 100. Which one, people? That's the third answer, right? Third one will be the answer. 57th question of year 2006. Another question which analyzes about both relative humidity and absolute humidity. So let's analyze this. Atmosphere air at 30 degrees Celsius and having 80% of relative humidity is made to flow slowly through two large chambers, Y and Z, maintained at 0 degrees Celsius and 40 degrees Celsius, as shown in the figure. Densities of saturated water vapor in the atmosphere at 0 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius and 40 degrees Celsius are 4.8, 30, 48. So for this chamber, for this particular chamber, which is at 0 degrees Celsius, the absolute humidity is absolute humidity of saturated vapor is 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 3 kilogram per meter cube. All right. And for this chamber, the absolute humidity of saturated vapor is how much? 48 into 10 to the power minus 3. That means, in other words, this chamber Y can have a maximum of 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 3 kilograms, or 4.8 grams in 1 meter cube. That's all. In 1 meter cube, it can have only 4.8 grams. It can't have more than that because the temperature is very low. But 40 degrees Celsius, this chamber can contain 48 grams in 1 meter cube. 48 grams of water vapor in 1 meter cube. Okay, right. So we have to see what's going on. Now, this is the idea of this question. Imagine now this is at 4.8 in the table, 4.8. If you send 3 into 10 to the power minus 3 kilogram per meter cube water vapor or air, then no problem, nothing will happen because it can have a maximum of, so I will just say maximum amount of water vapor which can be contained by the chamber. So if you send air sample with lower AH than this, then the air sample can be here. But if you send an air sample at a greater absolute humidity than this, what will happen? Water is going to condense. Water is going to condense because it will keep only 4.8 in the air. Remaining ones will condense. Can't help. Okay. Right. Same thing will be applied here. Right. Fine. So let's see how much we are sending into chamber Y from X. Right now for X, you can apply the relative humidity equation. RH is equal to AH over AH saturated into 100. Now look at AH saturated. Now X is at what temperature? 30 degrees Celsius. This is 30 degrees Celsius. RH is given as 80. Okay. AH we don't know. AH of air in X divided by AH saturated. What is the value? It should be 30 into 10 to the power minus 3. Careful. 30 into 10 to the power minus 3 into 100. How do I know it's 30? It's given in the question. Densities of saturated water vapor at 30 degrees Celsius is 30 into 10 to the power minus 3. Okay, by densities they mean absolute humidity. Right. Then when you multiply it, you will be getting absolute humidity of X. Absolute humidity of air at X is actually 24 into 10 to the power minus 3 kilogram per meter cube. So when air enters chamber Y, it will have an absolute humidity of 24 into 10 to the power minus 3 kilogram per meter cube. Is there a problem or not? There is an issue, no? What's the issue? It can only have a maximum, it can only contain a maximum of how much? 4 into 10 to the power minus 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 3. But we are sending 24. So what will happen? Dew is going to be formed. Dew is going to be, what is that dew, people? Maximum of 4.8 can be here. 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 3. The remaining ones will get condensed. And what will be sent to chamber is it? 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 3 will only be sent. Okay, because it can have a maximum of only how much? 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 3 kilogram per meter cube. It can't have more than that. So that will be sent to chamber Z. Hope you can understand that. Right. So inside this, absolute humidity will not change, will not be more than 4.8. Careful, because that is the maximum. And now here, when you send 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 3 kilogram per meter cube, is there a problem? No problem whatsoever, because this chamber Z, which is at 40 degrees Celsius, can contain a maximum of this much, 48 into 10 to the power minus 3. Okay, then we have to find the relative humidity of Z. They are asking for a relative humidity and absolute humidity. So relative humidity of Z, that's going to be the same, absolute humidity over absolute humidity of saturated vapor into 100. And relative humidity of chamber Z, that is going to be equal to 4.8 into 10 to the power minus 3 divided by, 10 to the power minus 3 divided by 48 into 10 to the power minus 3, and you multiply that by 100, and the final answer is 10%. 4.8, 48. 4.8 is 10% of 48. No, 10 is the answer. That is the relative humidity of Z. Fine. Then the summary. What about the summary then? Right. At X, look at X. Relative humidity is 80. Absolute humidity is 24 into 10 to the power minus 3. In all the answers, that is the value for X. Right. And in Y, what is the relative humidity now? What is the relative humidity in Y? Inside Y, guys, it's saturated now. Inside Y, it is saturated because dew is formed. So relative humidity has to be how much? 100. Relative humidity inside Y has to be 100 because it is saturated. It can have only 4.8, but we are sending 24. So we are saturating this. RH has to be 100 in Y. So this is wrong. First answer is wrong because RH is not 100 in Y. First answer is definitely wrong. This is wrong. This is also wrong because they are saying it's 0 in Y. Wrong. Okay, 100, 100, 100. These 2, 4, 5 are possible. And going back to Z, what about Z then? Z, RH has to be 10. So these two are, because here RH is 100, 100. No, you are sending 4.8, but here it can have a maximum of 48. Therefore, the correct answer for this question is second one. Okay. Okay, another question about graphs, but a different approach. Now, these graphs are not relative humidity or absolute humidity. These are pressure graph of pressure and volume. So let's discuss what's going to happen with this. The total volume of a mixture of air and an unsaturated vapor is decreased at a constant temperature, right? Volume is decreased at constant temperature. If P is the total pressure and V is the volume of the mixture, which of the following best represents the variation of PV with V? Right, PV with V. Now they are going to reduce the volume at constant temperature. So let me consider this situation. Let me go in reverse. So let's start initially the volume is high and then the volume keeps reducing. At one point volume reduces to a certain volume and then yeah, you keep reducing the volume after that as well. Right, fine. Initially, the air will be unsaturated when the volume is high, unsaturated. But very, very important. Remember, the temperature is not changed. The temperature is capital T. Here also temperature is capital T. Temperature is capital T. No change in temperature, right? Initially, the air is unsaturated, but as you reduce the temperature, at one point, air will become saturated. At one point, air will become saturated. Okay, why is that? Why is that? Initially, now if you see here, and here RH will be less than 100, and here RH will be 100. Okay, what am I doing? We are compressing, compressing. Oh, yeah, compressing, or reduction of volume. Okay, compressing. Okay, now why does this happen? Why does this happen? Now here, if you take absolute humidity here is definitely less than the absolute humidity of air when it is saturated. That's why it is called unsaturated. But when you reduce the volume, what happens? The mass doesn't change. Mass of water vapor doesn't change. When you reduce the volume, what happens? Absolute humidity of air becomes equal to, at one point, absolute humidity of saturated air. Because when you reduce the volume, absolute humidity increases. It will happen that way. That's why it becomes saturated. But the mass of water vapor, it doesn't change. Okay, right. And after that, what will happen, people? After that, what will happen? After that, dew will be formed. Dew is going to form, and water vapor is going to be there. It's going to still remain saturated, but dew is going to be formed if you reduce the volume even more. And RH will remain at 100, and absolute humidity also will remain at saturated, absolute humidity of saturated vapor. It will not change. As once the air sample becomes saturated, if you don't change the temperature, absolute humidity will not change. But the question is not about RH or absolute humidity. It's about pressure. It's about pressure. So let me quickly mark the pressures. What is the pressure here? Pressure here will be saturated vapor pressure. And here also pressure is going to be saturated vapor pressure. Can you agree with me on that? Now I'll take the volume here as a V1 and I'll take this volume as V0, specific volume where the temperature change, saturation happens. And then this volume is V2. And you can see V1 is bigger than V0, then V2, right? So V0 is my reference point. Now, again, when once the air becomes saturated with water vapor, people, its pressure is called saturated pressure. And that saturated vapor pressure also depends only on what? Temperature. Okay. P saturated depends only on temperature. If you don't change the temperature, so if temperature is constant, saturated vapor pressure will be constant. Right. But can you tell me what will happen from V1 to V0 during this portion? What will happen to the pressure? from here to here, what will happen to pressure? Can someone tell me? Huh? From here to here, the air is not saturated. Here, this part unsaturated air, people. So you can apply what? You can apply Boyle's law. Boyle's law can be applied, no problem. As long as air is unsaturated, Boyle's law can be applied. So when you apply Boyle's law, what happens when in the Boyle's law? Pressure is inversely proportional to volume. So when you reduce the volume, pressure will increase. So if you take the pressure here as P naught initially, definitely P naught is smaller than saturated pressure. Okay, P naught is smaller than saturated pressure. P naught. I hope you guys understood that. So until this, you can apply gas laws. Until the air becomes saturated, you can apply gas laws. But after that, you can't apply gas laws. Pressure will be equal to saturated vapor pressure. Okay, right. Now the graph they are asking us to plot is PV versus V. But I will plot another graph also for you, for your future references. Let's start with pressure graph. Pressure versus volume graph. Pressure versus volume graph. Okay, let's start with pressure versus volume, and then we'll convert it to PV versus volume. And for the graph, V naught is our reference. So we are going to see what happens when the volume is less than V naught and what happens when the volume is greater than V naught. When the volume is less than V naught, you have to think of this area. When the volume is less than V naught, that is this area. That means the air is saturated. Therefore, no matter how much you reduce the volume after V naught, what happens? Pressure doesn't change. So the pressure graph, guys, I'm not drawing the answer. Answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not this. This is for PV and V. I'm first drawing PV, right? So pressure won't change. Pressure will not change initially. It will be constant. And after that, when the volume is greater than V naught, you have to consider this area. It is unsaturated vapor. So since the temperature is constant, careful, constant temperature, see, constant temperature. When the temperature is constant and when the air is not saturated, it will obey Boyle's law. Therefore, you should draw a Boyle's law graph like this. This part is saturated. This part is unsaturated. So you can apply Boyle's law. For Boyle's law, if you plot the graph for P versus V, this is how the graph will look like, because PV is equal to K. If not, P is proportional to 1 over V. So in case if you get pressure versus volume graph for a situation like this is how the graph should look like. Now, the question, let's get back to the question. The question is about PV versus V. PV versus V. Again, I'm going to use my reference as V naught. I'm going to use V naught as my reference. V naught is the volume at which air becomes saturated. PV and V naught. Right, fine. When the air is unsaturated, what can we do? This part is unsaturated. So the air is unsaturated. It obeys Boyle's law. It obeys Boyle's law. If it obeys Boyle's law, what can we say? PV is equal to K. That means PV is constant. The multiplication of P and V will be constant no matter how much you increase the volume. Therefore, this side, the graph has to be flat for P in the PV graph. This side, the graph has to be flat. Okay, how many answers are there? We have 1, 2, 3 answers. So definitely these two are wrong. We can ignore these 2 answers. Right. Now, after that, you have to be a little careful. Now, in this area, 2 things are happening. One is pressure is constant. For this area, pressure is constant. But when you go from here to here, volume is reducing. No? Volume is reducing. The value of the volume is reducing. So pressure is constant. Pressure is P saturated, but volume is reducing. Now, for example, at this point PV, let's say pressure saturated. Okay, let's say the volume is 5. So what is the value of PV? 5 saturated vapor pressure. 5 into P saturated. And when volume is 4, 4 into P saturated. When volume is 3, 3 into P saturated. Then when volume is 2, 2 into P saturated. When volume is 1, 1 into P saturated. Therefore, the multiplication of PV, it's going to reduce like this straight line. Hope you guys understood that. Okay, right. I will write the description. For this area now, pressure is constant. Pressure is constant. But when you go this side, what is happening to volume? Volume is reducing. So PV also, the multiplication of PV, the whole thing has to reduce. Because P value is not changing. Let's say take it as 10, 10. Okay, 10. P is 10. Huh? Then when volume is 5, what is the multiplication of PV? It's 50. For V, when V is 5, PV is 50. When V is 4, PV is 40. When V is 3, PV is 30, 20, 10, like that. So the best answer should be fourth one. And the graph, I don't think should start from 0. You can see there might be a printing mistake here because volume 0 means it's like you're crushing the chamber. So it can't happen. You can reduce the volume of the chamber for some extent, right? After that, it can't reduce. So I think it should stop before 0. So ideally, fourth one should be the best option for this particular question. But in future, if you come across graph for pressure and volume, then you should be ready. This is the answer. Now, in case if there's another question about the variation of pressure with temperature. The earlier one was variation of pressure with volume. Now pressure with temperature. Let's see. The temperature of a sealed chamber containing unsaturated air initially is reduced while maintaining the volume constant. Plot the variation of the total pressure in the system with temperature. All right. Now let's go in reverse. I mean, let's start with high temperature and then slowly let's cool down the system. And let's see what's going to happen in the system. Now, initially the temperature will be at room temperature or something at a higher temperature. So initially theta is let's say at room temperature and the air is unsaturated. The air is unsaturated. So RH will be less than 100 obviously, but we don't have to really worry about RH here. Then there will be a pressure. I'll take P1, okay, fine. And then when you cool down, we are cooling down this chamber, right? So when you cool down the chamber, at one point, its temperature will reduce and reach dew point. And when that happens, air eventually becomes saturated. And after that, RH is going to be 100. And now the pressure will become saturated vapor pressure. It will become saturated vapor pressure. Okay, right. I'll say saturated vapor pressure 1. Saturated, yeah, but 1. And then we are cooling it down further. So when you cool down, now what's going to happen? Air is saturated. Air is saturated, but remember we are not changing the volume. Huh? Volume is not changed. Volume is same. Volume is same. Volume is constant. Volume is constant. And after that, what will happen to saturated vapor pressure? Now RH is equal to 100. And now the new temperature, let's take it as theta 2. So that if you take the temperature, compare the temperatures, theta R is greater than dew point, and theta 2 is less than dew point. And now the saturated vapor pressure, it's still going to be saturated, but the saturated vapor pressure will not be same. It will be different. Why will it be different? Because we are changing the temperature. We are reducing the temperature. When you reduce the temperature, air will be saturated, true, but when you reduce the temperature, saturated vapor pressure will also reduce. Okay, right. So until the air becomes saturated, what will happen for this portion? During this portion, what's going to happen? Can you predict what will happen here? Unsaturated air. Okay, unsaturated. So you can apply gas laws. You can apply gas laws. Unsaturated, constant volume. No. Constant volume. Volume is constant. Constant volume. Oh, wait. Yeah, constant volume. If the volume is constant, what can you say? What can I say? You can apply pressure law. You can apply pressure law. You can apply pressure law. So it should be pressure proportional to temperature. That is absolute temperature actually. Absolute temperature. Pressure is proportional to temperature. That is when now I'll take this temperature dew point. Okay, now my reference is going to be dew point. No? Dew point, right? Fine. So you have to be a little careful here. This is dew point. And below dew point, our air is actually saturated. Above dew point, it is unsaturated. Right. Okay, so when the temperature is greater, now this part is actually when the temperature is greater than dew point. That is the region we are talking about. Yeah, volume, sorry, temperature is greater than dew point with this part. Huh? Right. So this is the relationship between pressure and temperature. And here what's going to happen? Here it is saturated now. Here it is saturated. You cannot use gas laws, but you have to consider this graph. What is this graph? Graph for saturated vapor pressure with temperature. How does that graph look like? A curve like this. Hope you can remember this. Right. Then for saturated part, the graph will be a curve. It will be a curve and then it will be a straight line like this. This is how the graph is going to be. Because here it is P is proportional to T, and here the graph is this. I have to consider this variation for saturated vapor pressure with temperature. So we have combined these two graphs. So when P is proportional to temperature, we know with when you plot the pressure with temperature, you will get a straight line graph. Yeah, when the temperature is in theta degrees Celsius, okay, the graph might not go through origin, but still the line is a straight line. Line is a straight line. So you combine both of them and you get this graph. Finally, you get this graph. All right.